Okay. Welcome to our final evening together. I just can't believe that we're on Friday already. I don't know about you, but the time
Mm.
is just been flying by.
Yeah,
And wow, Sabrina, you have written the most amazing essay there for us. Thank you very much. It's very cool. Did you want to read it for us or do you want me to? We need to unmute you.
you can. She's asked if you can read it.
Oh, I'll read it. Okay, cool. Yes. So this is from lovely Sabrina. Just some thoughts and observations over the years to start the evening with. There are always challenges to get into the ideal headspace when it comes to the way we consume foods, which foods are beneficial, and accepting those that aren't. Use the word accepting because some information fed to us over decades will be challenging to let go of. Oh, yes, so true.
Mhm.
We can have various triggers for eating, whether it be stress, low energy, insults, ongoing health issues. The list can be long and for many hard to overcome those obstacles. Then there's also self sabotage. Oh, yes. When we feel we don't deserve to improve our health lives. That's a big one. That's a
Mm.
really big one. That's a big one that conversation I've been having this week with clients. And people in our inner circles can improve how we think and feel, hence lessening some of those triggers. However, other people can be that trigger all on their own. Some of it we can remove ourselves from, but for many, this is not possible. Therefore, following a plan, learning how we function, and understanding the whys of what we do provides the tools to get ahead of the noise. Two, this is great. Reminding ourselves daily we are good enough is but one hurdle. Picturing a better image of ourselves can be challenging if the voice of not being able to achieve that result is pecking in our ear. We need to have the tools to shut that voice up. After having a meet up with some friends this morning, ChatGPT was mentioned. When I came home, I decided to give it a try. I have not used this or any other AI tools until now. I loaded some recent images of myself to ChatGPT, then went about asking it to change my weight, hairstyle, clothing colors, etc. Although I know this is far from reality, it does at least give an image as to what things may become close to if I focus on a program to better health, healthier lifestyle, and eventually excess weight release. Wow, that's a great way of using ChatGPT, isn't it? Yes. Wow. Thank you very much, Sabrina, for those insights. Anyone got anything they would like to share from that? Because I think that brings up a whole other program in itself. It's actually the things we do cover that in Fast Track to Health. The voices in our heads. I mean, let's face it, we all have this sort of little devil on one shoulder and this little angel on the other, and it's who actually gets to win the discussion. And that's where we have to sort of frame it, I think. We have to looking at, and we get people to write their goals, their 6 month goal, how they would like to look, feel, and everything in 6 months' time. And so yeah, I think having using ChatGPT is a great way of doing it because it does have some quite interesting things. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do slides and things without AI. The amount of slides I do without AI. I mean, I write them all, I don't get AI to write it. I just put what I want of the content and then it brings up images and does everything else. And I've actually managed today to finish a little ebook that I'm going to be talking about a bit later. But anyway, okay, right. So what we're going to be doing today is, as I said, this time last week, this challenge, well, it just started to exist Friday afternoon. And it was one of those slightly rash decisions where I thought, well, this feels right, let's do it. And I'm so glad I did. Because for me, something rather interesting has happened this week. What started as a 5 day health challenge has turned into a bigger conversation about how the body communicates, regulates, adapts, and recovers. And I have certainly learned, as I as I do with every client that I'm lucky enough to work with. But I've learned a lot this week too. So before I put a single slide up, I want to hear from you. Give me one word that describes how you feel after these 5 days. Now, it doesn't have to be whoa, 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 woo, woo. It doesn't have to be amazing. Maybe it's just curious, energized, surprised, confused, hopeful, hungry. So I would love to just hear what you have to say. Just pop those words and let's see where you're thinking. And I'm actually delighted that that so many of you have come tonight, because I know it's Friday night and it's great. Okay, so Sarah, refocused. Kristen, accepting. Jennifer, calm. Sabrina, more knowledgeable. Well, those are wonderful words, that's for sure. Sure. Confidence, informed. Yeehaw, that's good. Wonderful. So good that we got all that positivity. So, right, off we toddle now. Onto my slides for the day. Oops, no, I'm not going into that one at all. Yeah. Now let's see how smoothly this could happen today. Because the music happened smoothly, didn't it? So because I wasn't in charge, you're really lucky. Because I was thinking, because Sarah wasn't sure whether she was going to make it, and so I was thinking, and I tried to get Spotify for work, and it just wasn't playing ball. So I thought, well, you're going to have to do without music tonight. But lo and behold, Sarah managed to join us, so I'm very grateful for that. Okay. Right. Today, we are talking about building resilience. And I think it's so important for us to really get into this, because this is where all of the information that we've been talking about, reducing, regulating, replenishing, and restoring, and none of those have been the destination. So that ultimately, we are trying to create a body and a life with a greater capacity to adapt, respond, and recover, and eventually expand, not weight-wise, but expand in our level of health. Because health shouldn't mean making our lives smaller and smaller. And look how far we've come. When we look at it, we've looked at Monday, we started with reduce. And we can take away what's creating an unnecessary load. Then we talk about regulate. We met leptin, insulin, ghrelin, and GLP, and our now famous little hypothalamus. Then we talked about replenish. What raw material does the body actually need? Minerals, water, protein, fats, and nourishment. Yesterday, we moved into restore. Stress, nervous system, cortisol, sleep and recovery, and how important they really are. And now, building resilience. And hopefully, you're beginning to see that these are all joined at the hip. They're not completely separate subjects. They're one interconnected story. So, what is resilience? We said something yesterday I want to come back to tonight. Resilience doesn't mean becoming so healthy or strong that nothing affects you. Life will affect you. Food affects us. Stress affects us. Poor sleep affects us. Illness affects us. Relationships affect us. Comments, words affect us. Our environment affects us. And resilience is about being affected without being stuck there. After all, your body is designed to adapt. Your body has been adapting since the moment you were born. Temperature changes, food availability changes, activity changes, days become night, you sleep and you wake, stress appears and disappears. Your body responds to those changing conditions. We saw this with insulin. We saw it with cortisol. We saw it with ADH and hydration. We saw it with fasting and feeding. The body is dynamic. I would say the body is magnificent. Health isn't about freezing it in one perfect state. It's about maintaining the ability to adapt. And also, health isn't a perfect straight line. And this is where I really want us to stop expecting perfection. Some nights you will sleep beautifully, like a baby. Some nights you won't. Some meals will leave you feeling fantastic. And you might sometimes eat something and think, well, that was a terrible idea. Some weeks you'll feel completely on top of things. And then life will arrive with other plans. Health isn't a straight line. Resilience gives us somewhere to come back to. Instead of, I've ruined everything, we can ask, well, what do I need now? And what do I mean by that is I have many times in my life when I've been doing a program or something, and I stepped out of what I sort of made myself do. So, for example, it was a diet, for example, and then I succumbed to a plate of chippies or something like that. And I used to say, oh God, I might as well just continue eating, might as well continue doing it. But now I just go, okay, I've eaten that. It was okay. Did I enjoy it? It was all right. But now I just ask my body, okay, what to do now then? And I just basically sometimes go and take some charcoal capsules. Sometimes I'll just go, oh, well, I enjoyed that. And then get back on the plan the next day or the next day or the next day. And so basically, let's allow ourselves to be 100% ourselves and not trying to be perfect. I really don't believe there's such a thing as perfect blood glucose or perfect fasting or eating the perfect food or sleeping perfectly and being the perfect way. Because searching for perfection can become a really big form of stress. So what I think we all need is information. What happens when I eat this? What happens when I'm stressed? What happens when I create space between meals? What happens when I replenish my minerals or when I don't? That's useful because information allows us to make better decisions. So like we've talked about before, is looking for clues, becoming your own detective, your own health detectives. And this is one of the biggest things I would like you to take from 5 days. When something changes in your body, instead of immediately asking, how do I make this symptom disappear? Start with, what might this be, my body be telling me? So it could be anything, of course, like we've talked about before. It's hunger, energy, digestion, sleep, cravings, etc., etc. They are all pieces of information. That doesn't mean every symptom has a simple lifestyle explanation. And it certainly doesn't mean ignoring persistent, severe, or concerning symptoms. It is, however, still giving you a message. And sometimes, if we ignore the simple message, then the messages become louder and louder and louder. And so we end up having a illness or a dis-ease. And having that and listening to that is listening to your body too. And so basically, I would say, as much as you can, is listen to your body, what it's telling you. Might be little tiny things. So you've been gathering data all week. And actually, you've already been doing this. You've changed your food. Some of you have changed your eating window. You've thought about hydration and minerals. You looked into protein. Yesterday, we looked at recovery. And hopefully you've noticed something, and maybe it's tiny. But your experiences are information. And we've talked about your word of how you've got on this week. Is there anything else? Put it in the chat and we'll talk about it afterwards. Have you discovered anything this week that has genuinely surprised you? I'll give you some time to think about that. And so you can pop it in the thing or you can put it in our group a bit later. And so I would recommend going forward, don't change everything at once. There's one big problem with a lot of health problems that throws 57 changes at you once on Monday morning. So if you feel fantastic, which one worked? And if you feel terrible, which one caused the problem? And of course, we don't know if we add all of those things in all at once. This is one reason I like changing things deliberately and why we like to change and keep it simple. We then create enough consistency to start seeing patterns. Because if everything is moving simultaneously, it's difficult to interpret the information. So basically, if you start taking a regime of supplements, you could be taking vitamin C for your immune system, and also zinc, and then you can also be taking something else for aches and pains, and you can be taking something else for something else. And you start taking them all at once. We don't know what is working for you. And I also get most clients off of nearly all, if not all, of their supplements as they start with Fast Track to Health. I get them to put in a cupboard and then just start with the basics, because then we can find out what will work and what does work. And I think that's important to do. And that's what we do. We're creating quite a baseline. And so I've been using this with clients for over the last, well, for quite some time actually, when I sort of started with the allergy testing and bringing back to simplification. So when we simplify our foods, then we're also simplifying everything else. We're giving time to settle. And then instead of assuming I can never eat that again, we start asking questions. A quieter baseline makes it easier to notice what happens when something changes. And then we expand. And this is where I think we sometimes get health completely backwards. Elimination isn't the destination. It can be a tool for discovery. We eliminate, we allow things to settle, we discover by introducing something very deliberately, and we retest when appropriate. And if it works for us, we expand. We take another food and we add it in. And then we see how it feels. And the goal is not to eliminate forever. The goal is to understand our bodies. Because the object of the exercise, for me as a practitioner, is not for you or my clients to be frightened of more and more foods. I want you to become increasingly confident in understanding what works for you. And this is a really important component because we're all unique little snowflakes. We can tolerate one thing that someone else might not be able to. We can't tolerate one or three things that other people thrive on. We're all uniquely different. And I think we have to really take that on board because, as we go through this process, what I've learned over this process, I think I might have shared this with you before, but your body can change. And this is another reason for retesting. You change. Your metabolic health can and will change. The stress in your life changes, hormones change. As your body starts to heal, we then start to get more resilience. And so we don't get affected by the same amount of things that we used to when we didn't have the resilience that we might have now, or once we've been on a program. And so consequently, by cutting everything back, giving your body the ability to do its healing processes, then as we start introducing new foods in, you might react to one, but you put it to one side. And then you do some more healing work on yourself. You carry on with the nutrition. You carry on with the herbs, not herbs. You carry on with the minerals. You carry on with the program or what works for you. And then you can test again. And that's how you can really gauge how well your internal terrain is healing. Because it's the internal terrain that is doing all the work. And it shares with us how we are doing. And so it's definitely worth keeping on trying things because I'm not talking about deliberately retesting a known serious food allergy. That's a completely different situation. We're talking about foods we've removed while exploring what's going on in your body and healing. So I've had to put that proviso in there because serious food allergies may or may not be able to be healed, but it's something I wouldn't want to try. So, and if you, I wanted to talk about the carnivore because some of the people who have joined us are already carnivore. And if carnivore is working for you really, really well, and you love eating that way, you don't have to change anything. But I've also had people say, Karen, I'm ready for some more variety. And we've talked about this week on this one as well. And as I've said, I'm not saying I'm going to remain carnivore forever. I've been on the carnivore lifestyle with a few added extras in for the last 6 years. And I'm never going to say I'm going to stay carnivore and I'm not going to change it. Because what I find is many people go, I need change now. They've done the healing work with the carnivore and then they start yearning for other tastes and other textures and things. And that's a sign, I believe, that the body's ready for it to change things up. And what we do with the carnivore, because the carnivore is the biggest sort of like anti-inflammatory food program you can go on, because the protein, apart from dairy and maybe eggs, are the least inflammatory foods on the planet, believe it or not. And so when people are wanting to, reintroduce food, we get you to add in one vegetable. So it might be asparagus or it might be broccoli, and it's something that's on the food list and then they test that. So it's the same principle, really, except for we start with the low inflammatory food list and then you add one food and retest. And the reason we're doing that is to test your body, but also it's actually to introduce your body into having those foods again. Because many of us who have been on carnivore have been on for a year or two. And so consequently, we need to reintroduce these foods so that the body gets used to it. Otherwise, just like if you go carnivore flat out from a standard Western diet, you can upset the apple cart in the gut. The same can happen when you introduce foods too quickly with carnivore. And so basically, it's your body voting for what it really loves. And that is, I think, the way to look at it. That your body is the only one that can feed back to you what's good for you and what's not. So, one food, one question. When we test, we want to keep things simple. So, one food at a time. We introduce one food the next day. So, for example, I'll just take you on a program 12 weeks or more. People stay on the low inflammatory food list when they're on fast track to health. And then when they're ready to introduce other foods, we do one food at a time and then observe. Now, the biggest observation that I get clients to do is to step on the bathroom scales. So when we eat a new food, so say, for example, you've been on the low inflammatory food list and you'll notice that there's no coconut on the low inflammatory food list. And so we get you to day one, we get you to introduce coconut if you eat it. And then you go on the bathroom scales the next day. And if your weight remains stable, or if you're still losing weight and your weight goes down, then coconut is probably good. However, if the next day when you introduce avocados, avocados can be very inflammatory for some. And so consequently you introduce avocados, then your weight goes up 600 grams or more. It can be 1.5 kilos. Then potentially that for avocado is not good for you. Your body's sharing with you that it's not good for you. So consequently, what we do is we don't say avocados are no-go, I'm never going to eat avocado again. We test it again. So say, for example, you might wait a week or two And then you test avocados again, especially if you really love them. And then you can check to see if it does the same reaction. And I found this works 100% for everyone who has observed it. It really can help you find out what your body really loves. I mean, obviously, you look at how your gut's feeling, if you're feeling bloated or if you start craving again. So basically, this is another piece of information that you can take away and go, okay, this food is good for me. So it's on my own personal low inflammatory food list. And so we go on, we keep on collecting information. And so, as it says on this slide, one result isn't a verdict, and that's why we retest. So basically, we look for repeatable patterns. So there's other things that can make us gain weight, not just an introduced food. If we have a really stressful day the day prior, you'll notice that your weight goes up. And there's other things as well. So, if you injure yourself. So one of the main reasons that I came up with this part of the protocol is I'd dropped 25 kilos. And it was a few weeks after, and I can't remember exactly, but my weight had remained stable, and I'd been introducing a few foods, and I hadn't really taken much notice of it. And then one day, I was out walking. I was out walking because I didn't have a dog at the time, but this dog came up, and I love dogs, and normally dogs love me, so it was a bit of a shock. This one bit me on the bum, and I got over it quite quickly, but I did have a sore bum for a few days. But the next day, I'd put on 1.8 kilos. And that's what made me realize, this weight thing that we get so hit up about when we go on the scales is just showing us what's been going on in our lives as well as the things that we know. So consequently, that's what I would say. We're looking for patterns. We're being our own health detective. And our body is giving us all the clues. So your food list becomes bigger. And this is where resilience really becomes exciting, because progress doesn't always mean remove more foods and everything else. It's actually giving you more flexibility, more freedom to really, really hone in and find out who you are, as in who you are about tolerance and flexibility as far as food is concerned. And also the other things we've been talking about, like sleeping. Are you sleeping better? Is this way of life suiting you better? And if it is, when you vary off it, do you sleep the same? If you do, that's fantastic. But if you don't, then you'll know. And I know many clients, they say, I've been off track, but I haven't put on much weight. I put on a little bit of weight. When I've been on holiday, for example, they put on a bit of weight, and that's inflammation. But when they come back onto the low inflammatory foods, it goes again. It's just the body able to release the inflammatory processes. And so I think that's a really important thing. And it's basically, although my program looks like it's a cookie cutter program, how everyone eats the same food and everything else, but that's just part of the process. And so being flexible really matters. And it's now we can zoom out beyond food. Can the body move between different states? Can it move between fed and fasted, activity and rest, challenge and recovery? Different fuel mixes depending on what we're eating and doing. So that the ultimate with flexibility is being able to go from a rigid dietary pattern to be able to eat what's available, because that's how we have adapted as humans for thousands of years. We were and are, if we're given the right ingredients, metabolically flexible. So that means we should be able to eat good quality carbohydrates. Now, I'm not talking about junk food, and I'm not talking about seed oils, and I'm not talking about those sorts of things, but we should be able to eat good quality food if we're metabolically flexible. And that takes time. it really does take time because let's face it, many of us, I know I was, my blood sugars were probably out of kilter from childhood due to stress levels, due to not junk food really, but high sugar food, certainly, and also bad eating habits, as in I would have a chocolate bar rather than a meal. So, for example, I come from the UK, if you hadn't noticed, and we used to have school dinners, and I loathed and detested school dinners. So I used to sell my dinner tickets, so I got cash in my hand. Now, when I was about 14, I started smoking. So I used to go down to the shop, the little shop outside of school, and get myself a packet of cigarettes and some chips. Now, I never really went for sugary things, but I went for chips. And that went on. So I didn't really eat healthily. So consequently, my blood sugars would have been out of kilter from a very, very young age. And that's why from the age of about 13, I struggled with my weight and I used to starve myself. And so it went on for many, many years, but you get the gist. And so consequently, it's taken me a few years to really, I feel I'm getting more metabolically flexible. And work in progress, I would say we all are. And so your body doesn't need the same thing every day. And this might seem slightly controversial coming from somebody who spent years giving people protocols. Your needs aren't necessarily identical every day. Some days you may need more food. Some days you might need food earlier. Some days you might need more recovery. Some days you might need more movement. And some days you genuinely need to sit down and do absolutely nothing. Like I talked about yesterday, giving yourself time to not have any screens, not have anyone to talk to, not have any phones, not have anything, but just doing absolutely nothing. And the ultimate goal isn't becoming better and better at following my rules. It's becoming better at recognizing your own needs. So when something feels off, and here is what these 5 days have unexpectedly created. When something feels off, instead of immediately chasing the symptoms, we now have 5 questions. What might be adding unnecessary loads? And regulate what regulatory signals or symptoms might be relevant. Replenish. Does the body have the resources it needs? Restore. Am I creating enough opportunity for recovery? And then building resilience. What can I learn from this? What can I adapt? What can I retest? Where can I eventually expand? And 5 days ago, I hadn't put these into words really. And the more we've talked this week, it makes more and more sense to me, and I hope it does to you. And you are not a passive participant. Your body is giving you information every day, and it's the bit I care about the most. You are not a passive participant in your own health. You can learn about your body, you can observe, you can ask questions, you can experiment, and you can adjust for yourself. And of course, seek help when you need it. And you don't have to understand every biochemical pathway or everything I've talked about, but you can become much more curious about your own body. And taking responsibility doesn't mean believing you can control absolutely everything. It means participating. And also, knowing when you need help is resilience too. And taking responsibility for your own health doesn't mean refusing help. And sometimes the most intelligent thing, you can get another pair of eyes on something. So you can do testing or you can do medical assessment, a practitioner. Particularly if something is persistent, new or concerning. But most of the time, we don't need that. We need actually to maybe ask the right question. And so personal responsibility isn't I do everything myself. It's actually finding people who you can confide in, who you can talk to, who you know have been in your shoes, or who, like myself, I've been in this game for 40 years, so you're welcome to call me or make an appointment and come and see me, or not come and see me, but see me on Zoom, unless you're in the Bay of Islands, of course, then you can come and see me. And you can decide for yourself whether you need information, support, or expertise. And you are the only part of decision-making process that can make decisions for you. And I know a lot of clients have been to doctors and they tell them they must take this drug for life, and it doesn't feel comfortable for them. And I really understand that. And doing your own research on that's great. And it's also really good to talk to practitioners who know what they're talking about the interaction of medication and those sorts of things. But we're not going to talk about that. So what I would like to hear from you now is 5 days ago, what did you think your body needed? And has anything changed? I'm going to put these questions in our group tomorrow, and I would love for you to answer it underneath. And I would like to ask you if anything surprised you. What will you continue? What do you want to understand better? Did anything we talked about completely change the way you look at something? So, what next? Your next 7 days. So, what happens tomorrow morning when we aren't coming together at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening, when we aren't coming together at 6 p.m. with another set of slides? Please don't start another enormous health overhaul. For the next 7 days, choose one thing to reduce, one thing to replenish, one way to restore, and keep observing. That's enough. We don't need more rules or more shoulds. 5 days isn't going to transform everything about your health, but 5 days can do something important. It can help you notice. It can help start a conversation with your body. Longer gives us time to apply something, observe the response, adjust it, retest and build. And that's really what Fast Track to Health has always been about. So this is one of the main reasons, actually, it's got completely nothing to do with the slide. One of the main reasons that I haven't done a challenge like this is because what I've done is lose 2 to 5 kgs in 5 days or all sorts of things like that. And yes, people dropped the weight when we were on the challenge, but they didn't keep it off. And what I really want for you from this challenge, if you can, is that you learn something about your body. And so now I'm going to talk about Fast Track to Health. What if we kept going? I know some of you are already in our 12-week Fast Track to Health journey, and some of you have been on the Fast Track to Health journey for a while because you just keep on joining our group and you keep on coming and playing each week on a Monday. And so we have Monday calls, and we go over their questions. And sometimes I go into teaching, sometimes it's all questions, which is absolutely fun for me because I love answering questions. And so for you, this week has really been the beginning of Fast Track to Health. And we're going to keep building on these principles over the coming weeks. So some of you may be thinking, I actually want to understand this more. That's what the longer Fast Track to Health journey is here for. And we have time to look at your patterns, apply, discuss, and you can experiment and learn. And we go deeper into the areas we've only touched in this week. And because I'm learning all the time, it's always new information. And of course, I don't expect you to decide this evening whether you'd like to go on the Fast Track to Health journey. I'm going to go through the website in a minute so you can see what the options are. And so if you would like to go deeper, will be here. So consequently, you can tell I'm not a big sales pitchy lady, hey. So basically, this is my soft sales pitch. But anyway, so basically, I over today, I've completed it's a resilience guide, and it's an ebook. And the reason it's an ebook is because it's got some really beautiful pictures and things in, and to have it printed, because it's all color, it's actually 51 pages of color. And I didn't want all of this disappearing into 5 recordings that no one can find 6 months from now. So I've turned it into a Fast Track to Health companion guide. And what it will do, it'll be a little booklet that people who join Fast Track to Health will get as an ebook, so they can have a read through and find out the reasons why, the whys, why we're doing certain things and everything else. And so I've expanded on some of the subjects that we didn't gone deeply into during the challenge, and they'll be in there. So that's available on the website now. And so it is $29. And I will be putting a link in the group tomorrow. Actually, I'll go into the website in a minute. So and show you. So, oh, I just missed a slide there. Hang on, what's that? Maybe I wasn't supposed to. So health is the goal. Resilience is the direction. So if there's one thing you'd love to remember from my 5 days to get, I'd love you to remember is this. Health doesn't require a perfect body, a perfect diet, perfect blood glucose, perfect anything. We're human. Life is going to happen. What we're building is a greater capacity to learn, adapt, respond, and recover, and keep moving forwards. Health is the goal. Resilience is the direction. And as I always say to myself, to my family, to my friends, for everything in life, is keep on moving on and keep on improving. A life if improvement every day. What have I improved today? We have a conversation around the table. What have we improved today? And that is what I would love to be a mantra for you guys, is what can I improve on today? And life is a constant state of improvement. I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you for joining me on this slightly rash little journey. 5 days ago, I wasn't entirely sure where this was going. I knew what I wanted to talk about, but something happened as the week unfolded. The conversations connected. Reduce led to regulate. Regulate led to replenish. Replenish led to restore. And it kept on bringing me back to my word that's been quite prevalent for the last few months, is resilience. You helped me see something about Fast Track to Health too. I've taught these principles in different ways for years, but this week has brought them together into a framework that makes such enormous sense to me, and I hope it does to you. So you've actually been part of the evolution of Fast Track. And that's really appropriate, I feel, because health itself isn't static. We keep on learning, we keep on changing, we keep on adapting, and we discover something new about ourselves, and we keep on moving forward. Thank you for trusting me with 5 days of your time. Now let's see where your body takes you next. Now I'm going to stop sharing these, and then I'm going to share my website because, I just want you to have a look. Now my website is always a work in progress. So this is Vitality Health, and this, can you see that? Yes, you can. Oh, can you? And this is the Fast Track to Health page. So if you go up the top, we have shop, living range. Now, living range is my olive leaf extract, and I'm not going to go on about that today, but I love it. And I talk about that quite a bit in Fast Track to Health. But basically, we're on Fast Track to Health page, and these are the options. So we have 3 different options of Fast Track to Health. The first one is the foundation. And so that is $444, and it includes 2 Boost. I think I've talked about Boost, 2 sprays. So the sprays are designed to work on the HPA axis, the hypothalamus, and the adrenals to keep us out of stress mode, to get us out of stress mode. If we're in chronic stress, and everyone is, when they've gained weight or they have an illness of some sort, then this little beauty, this little beautiful spray can really help get us out of stress mode. And so that one's $4.44 for the 12 weeks. It also includes membership to our site and weekly live calls. Then we've got Fast Track Living. So this is the same as Foundation, but it also has 12 weeks supply of the Living Tonic, which is the Olive Aged Living Tonic, which is the olive leaf extract, and also the Living Magnesium. So the Living Magnesium is magnesium infused with olive leaves for about 6 weeks. And so that the magnesium is incredibly anti-inflammatory as well as magnesium is, but with the olive leaf, it really helps back it up. And also we have a month's supply of the Living Tonic. And I haven't got time to talk about the Living Tonic really, but it has a huge benefit for nearly every single system of our body. And you can either take these along with the Fast Track to Health products, or you can put it aside and put them on for the next 12 weeks. So it depends on how you want to use them. And we can talk about that. If you want to book a 15-minute call with me, then please do. I'll put the links in our group. And then there's the Fast Track to Health supported group. So it's basically all of the things in the Fast Track Living and Foundation, but also you get a contact with a practitioner like Sarah or Julia every week. You'll get a call, not a call, but you'll get messages, and you can contact them when you need help. So that is $999. And so all of these are very definitely worth jumping on board. So if you're not sure about whether you want to jump into something that has 12 weeks commitment, but you you would like to do something, then I'm doing a special deal for you guys only. So as you can see, there's the resilience guide. It does look quite pretty, doesn't it? I think it looks quite pretty. If you look at the images we've got in there, I think it looks quite cool, even though I do so myself. Of course, I got AI to help me design that, you know. Anyway, so specials. So the specials are the Living Blueprint Complete System. So basically this one has it has my Living Resilience Spray. So the Living Resilience Spray is designed to help with, how do I explain it? Electromagnetic, our electrical bodies, keeping our electrical bodies in balance. We are naturally electrically negatively charged. Our modern world turns us to be positively charged. And so consequently, the Living Resilience has homeopathic remedies to help bring us back to negative charge, so back to factory settings, which is why we call it the blueprint system. Then we have my drop weight drops. So drop weight drops are the earlier form of Fast Track to Health. So Fast Track to Health spray helps with the balancing of the HPA and also the stress response, so do the drop weight drops. But the Fast Track to Health spray also has detox remedies for heavy metals, chemicals, and also helps to some extent with parasites, but not hugely. But the drop weight drops are basically the basic Fast Track to Health drops. So they're all in a base of Salt Sol, mainly because Salt Sol is an amazing communicator and enhances all the homeopathic remedies really well. And then this one comes with the Living Magnesium Gel, which is one I talked about a bit earlier. And magnesium absorbed via the skin is, as far as I'm concerned, the best way of supplementing magnesium. And so that's that one, and that is 190. And then as a special deal for you, you guys will get my my little booklet. that I've created, Resilience Guide. So you get that. And then the other one that's on special is the Living Blueprint Duo. So you get the drop weight drops and you get the Living Resilience. And I would say the Living Resilience remedy is one that I created. How long ago was it, Sarah? It must be about 8 weeks ago now,
Yeah. Yep.
something like that. And oh my gosh, it is absolutely amazing. So what I use it for, I get clients to do it 3 times a day. And then basically I take it when I go out the door, an extra dose when I go out the door, and an extra dose when I come in. And basically it protects me, I feel, from the bombardment of electromagnetic fields and shedding and all of that sort of stuff. And so this is the other special that I'm offering. Now, I'll come to the, I did mention, I don't know if you saw it, the, I'm going to do a sort of, I don't know what I call it. What do I call it? It's basically, we're going to do a draw. We're going to do the draw for the $250 gift voucher. But we're also going to do a spot prize for people who turned up tonight. So the spot prize is the Living Resilience Duo. And the Living Resilience Duo is the magnesium and the resilience. So this one would suit people who don't necessarily want to drop their weight, but they want protection and they want the magnesium. And the magnesium is needed for nearly every system of our body, but especially for our body stress response and our enzymes. So if you get gut issues and things like that, then this one's really good. And the Fast Track to Health also, sorry, I didn't say that when I'm doing the Fast Track to Health. If we look at the Fast Track to Health, Fast Track to Health has its own magnesium. So it has a different herb that it's made with. So it's made with ashwagandha. So it helps with the stress. Sorry, my tongue's a bit tight. I'll just have a drink. Hang on. Okay. I think you've seen enough. Methinks. So, right. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize what the time was. I've been yapping for ages, haven't I? Jeepers. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yes, I believe so. It is magic, the living tonic and the magnesium. I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm really blessed. Anyway, okay, so let's have a look. So what I'm going to do is I am going to draw the spot prize. That's the word I was looking for, spot prize. I've been talking far too much this week, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to get my little icon and I'm going to swirl it around and then I'm going to stop on the winner. Okay, so Sarah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my eyes and you can go stop. All right?
Oh,
Ready?
but I don't want to be choosing. So if I'm
Okay,
gonna,
yeah, do that. You do. Okay, so I'm going to close my eyes now.
and
Okay,
I'm
you
closing.
go stop.
Stop.
Kristen, congratulations. That's awesome. So I'm not going to draw tonight the 251 because
Thank you.
I've got a few more names to add into the bucket because some people have shared their emails and I haven't had a chance to put them in. So I'm going to do that tomorrow morning and I'm going to share with you who wins. So keep an eye on the group tomorrow. And so congratulations, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Sure, love it.
If you wanted to swap something out for that, because I know you've got an order on its way. So if you wanted to swap something else out, then we can do that.
Okay, what was the one I got? I can't remember what you said even.
You got the duo, which has got,
Duo, the
yes, it's,
magnesium and the resilience.
yes, yes.
I
I think
love the resilience. You know what? It makes me feel like Neo of Matrix. I just bounce. Things
yeah,
things
it does.
don't
It
hit
looks like
me.
everything. everything sort of flows off you. So
Yeah,
I'll just
I've
share
got
with
it.
you.
I
Very
like it too.
bouncy, Sarah.
She's always bouncy, isn't she?
She
Yeah,
is.
yeah. So one thing I'll share with you that the resilience came about through some research that I was doing about shedding, and I've got a blog about it. And so if you want to have a look,
Yes,
I've
yes,
also
thank
got
you.
I've got a video about it, haven't I? I've got a video. So I might find that and I'll put it in the link.
Could I share something before we finish
Oh,
up?
please do. Yes, because
Yeah.
I'm just going to find the link for that.
Okay. Because some of you are going to carry on for the next 12 weeks, some might not, some might want to go and think about stuff. I really want to emphasize what Karen says quite often, but I know that sometimes you can miss that one little key important bit, that this is not a quick fix. It really is an onion, and there are many layers, and we will all go through it at different speeds. We will all discover different things. I've been doing this for nearly 3 years now, and the amount of things I've discovered about myself is just unreal. But it's, even learning how to completely self-sabotage and then own it and step back out of it. And I've had breakdowns, I've had gains, I've had losses, I've had life-changing stuff happen. And so it's not about perfection. It's really about learning and trusting your own body and your own ability to heal. And Karen's an amazing guide and wealth of knowledge for that. And it is ever evolving because there are always new people coming in, there's new questions, and there's new things we hadn't thought of. So it really isn't a quick fix. It's not a do this for 12 weeks and you're going to be magically slim and perfectly healthy for the rest of your life. It takes commitment, but that commitment comes really easily when you learn about what your body wants. We don't fit into any box. We are all totally different. And on that note, when Karen was talking about reintroducing foods, there are different things. For instance, not all brands are made equal. It depends the country of origin. For instance, some people can eat prawns till the cows come home. Others can only eat the ones from Australia, not the ones
That's
from
neat.
India. Yeah. I, for instance, don't react to cream unless I have it every day. If I have cream in my coffee once a week or once a fortnight, it's fine. But if I do it 2 or 3 days in a row, all of a sudden bloat. So there isn't one thing for everyone, and there's not even one thing necessarily for you, because you'll be going through different phases and different things in life. So it really is a navigation. For instance, I discovered, took me ages to work it out and a few tears. Anytime I do gardening, I gain at least 600 on my scales. A few days down the track, I'm fine and I feel great, but it's because of the inflammation. I get a sore back, and it's the muscles I'm using, and it's just, there's something else that happens. But I love gardening. It's one of my calm moments. So it's fine. I just know not to beat myself up.
That's it, isn't it? Really, I think
It's
the
about
beating ourselves up we're very good at.
So it's about acceptance. It's about just staying calm and listening rather than searching and putting yourself in a box or putting labels or expectations on it.
Absolutely. I think we should take should out of the English language.
Yes,
Should's a guilt-inducing word.
it is.
Yes, it really is, isn't it?
Yep, don't should on yourself.
Yes.
Actually, Karen, I'd like to say one thing too, and
Yeah.
have been in the past, buy the book, read the label, read the recipe, nink, 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 tell me what to do. And so this week I've actually really got a grasp on, there's no right way, no perfect, listening to the signals rather than, what's the next step.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because I've released 2.5 kilos. But this morning, I woke up at 7:30 because I got an alarm, and I usually get up and I just felt like dead flat, and I never stay in bed, but I thought my body does not want to move, and I did not, and I woke up at 10 o'clock.
Bless.
So, you know, in the past, I wouldn't have done that.
No.
Yes. So, you know, just that really taking heed. So thank you very much. I've, you know, really got my head around that this time. Mm.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Wow.
Mm.
That comment there, Christian, has been worth the whole 5 days to me. So
Mm.
I just, wow, that's fantastic, because
Mm.
that'll make such a difference in your life.
Mm. Mm.
Just making that decision.
Yeah.
I'm
Mm.
allowed to rest. I'm allowed to recoup. I'm allowed.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
That's fantastic.
So thank you very much.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
that's great.
magic. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right. Okay. So, sorry, you're going to put some music on. So, I'm going to say thank you, everyone, for joining me on this magical journey. And I'm so delighted that we've managed to get this far. And I look forward to hearing how you are all going over the next few weeks. Lots of love. Speak soon.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.